Look at this guy all dressed up. Look at that. He saw Penguins 5, Oilers 3 last night. The Penguins taking down the defending Western Conference champions over at PPG Paints Arena. What's up, Moan?
Man, not much, DK. Well, first and foremost, before we go any further with the bill and everything, look, it wasn't DK. It was me. I had a lot going on in a short amount of time, and I told DK, I was like, DK, I think I just need a little break. And it wasn't. Trust me, I miss you guys too. But I told him, I was like, I was feeling overwhelmed. And DK knows my biggest issue is what? I never say no. And I had to, you've told me that, my wife tells me that, and that's something I got to figure out more moving forward. So that's on me.
The boss expresses her own opinion on this.
Yeah, I know. Look at the smile on Dolly's face, though, now. She's red, too. She's happy. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, you and I have established this relationship where if either of us is just not there, we will send the other a text, and it requires, this is one of the most beautiful things about this, it requires no elaboration.
No.
And the other person just says, gotcha. And no questions asked, no nothing, but also no worries, no nothing. It's just, it's good.
Don't you wish your wives were like that?
We do. The biggest questions we want from our wives is what's for dinner. All right, like we can just answer that question, Dolly. She's booing us.
Now we've got a lot of football to cover here, and we've got a lot of people getting a little bit irritated here that they've yet to hear a bell.
Oh my! Well, I had to open up with the cold open right there. We treat it like Saturday Night Live. I'm ready if you are, open. DK. Yeah, you like the cold open right there?
I think so. She moved some stuff around here, and I can't find the
boo, Dolly
banners. It's not me. It's the system. What are you looking for?
I need to find the intro to the show. You see how that's different?
I might have to find the
media
intro,
assets.
Huh?
Media assets, DK.
Media assets, she says.
Man.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Keep scrolling. You're right.
You got to wait.
Oh,
you gotta get
I see it. Oh, this is the one where you're wearing the bumblebee and you go, ugh.
Guess what the bell is going to do, though?
What's for dinner?
This is the Ramon Foster Show, starring the one, the only Ramon Foster, 11-year starting guard in the National Football League. All 11 of those in those colors he's currently wearing. And by the way, the colors that he's currently wearing are worn by all three of our city's teams. The only city anywhere that does it like that. Did you like that, Moan? Did you like when you would go to a Penguins game or a Pirates game, you look around and it felt like familiar ground?
Yes, it is. And the pressure's just the same, too. Like, I enjoyed it, even on the Pirates side. Like, the pressure is still the same. If you're going to a Pirates game and they're bad, guess what you do, DK? You put on the Steelers jersey, okay? Like, I'm there to support you, but I don't love you right now. These are the things that you can do in Pittsburgh because we all are black and gold, not black and yellow. I got to argue with people often about that. Like, I almost choked the guy out. It was like, it's not black and yellow. Stop.
Well, Wiz Khalifa kind of threw a wrench into all that, but another discussion for another day and maybe another generation. But Moan, it's Steelers versus Raisins this week. Tomorrow night, specifically in Baltimore, and I have a question for you that's less of a build up to the game, and I've been dying to ask this, but more an overlook at the 17 games that led into it, because you were the one that told all of us before the football was kicked in Atlanta.
Yeah.
All that time ago, you told us it was going to take time for this offensive line together, and you also said that it just might not get together.
Yeah.
Give me something here, because I don't want to pin. It's a team sport. I don't want to pin everything on the line, but it just feels like the line didn't progress at any point the way that it needed to.
And here's, what sucks about it a little bit more, though, too, is that they have the talent. Right? That's what you do know.
That's the part. When I talk to guys who are around the team, like a Max Starks, Craig Wolfley, and these guys, they all say it's there.
The
DK,
talent
it's
is
there. Look at it. Look at it.
Man, it comes down to one, maturity. I will say that too. Like the offense, in a sense, I think Russ is good for the offense, DK, but Russ is new. Russ is one of us now, but like, who's the leader on the team that's going to press and push them? You remember, like, a couple years ago, like, Najee was put in front to be the leader, right? Like, there's no wide receiver leader to add pressure to a group to perform. The running backs really don't have that pressure. Like, you look at Kadero Patterson, he's been around for a while, but, like, there is no, like, in pressure. You know what I'm saying? On that side of the ball to force those guys want to be good. Like, we felt ashamed, you know, when Hines Ward couldn't get a catch, or it was an older guy couldn't get a catch because we weren't protecting long enough. Or you have Willie Parker that was in the fold that, hey, you needed to make it happen. Or the fact that you had Max Starks and Willie Colon and Trey Essex that had all been there and have won big games, to where you understood that, look, the pressure to perform at a high rate has to stay there. And this is where I think that group is at, DK. Like, it's the maturity side of it. It's no excuse, because there's a lot of other young guys in this league that are young, that are making real good plays. But it's also, I think, the inward pressure of those guys to not just feel it from, like, Coach Tomlin, but from somebody else too. And I think that's what they're missing. I don't know what Coach Pat Meyer's repetition of practice was, or how those guys feel about him as far as respect too. I know you've talked to some of the dudes on the team as far as, like, hey, no, Coach Meyer needs a whole lot of respect given to him, right? But I don't know what that looks like in practice. I don't know if those dudes are beholden to, like, learning every side of the defense. I don't know if they're inside pressure to where, like, Pounce would go at me and I go at him. We go at Dave and we go at Al. Like, I think they're so young, DK, that they know they got the right amount of talent, but it's just not there from a mature standpoint. Because look at the guys that are starting. Dan is still young, right? Zach is young. Mason's young, and you got a young right tackle too in Broderick. Before you go, what I will say is this: I'd much rather have this problem right now, and get it figured out, whether that's to change that offensive line coach or just philosophy. Because here's the thing about it, though, DK. I expect going into year 3, year 4 for these dudes, these young fellas, a second year for Zach, and I expect them to grow. Now, how Coach Tomlin does that, as far as his staff, as far as Coach Myers go, like, that's yet to be seen. But this is a youth problem, DK, and I think it's not enough peer pressure added to it also.
And there's no question on top of that. You know, I'm not coming at you with expertise. That's your area.
No, okay? Go ahead.
But there's no question that it also originates at the tackles. And I'm going to say that in the plural sense, because as good as and fair as we've been to Moore in particular, and lauding him really through the first half of the season. Since the bye, he's given up 7 sacks. That's tough territory, man. Statistically, there's nowhere to run and hide from 7 sacks allowed in half a season. And Broad, man, I don't know what to say. Yeah, it just doesn't change, though.
It doesn't change. Like I said, I heard somebody say this recently. I forget who they were speaking about. It was talking about a coach, and they were just like, yeah, you coach this team. You coach us, and you have the authority of this team, but I'm the one that control it. Like, the players are the one that control it. We're the ones that set the standard, and we enforce everything. Like, we'll listen to you and we respect the heck out of you, but we're the ones that enforce everything that you say to us. So without us, you don't have much. And that's why I honestly feel with Dan, and I feel with Broderick too. Like, we've been talking about Broderick's finish for a very long time, have we not? Like, we
really have. It's gonna get into Chooks territory before long.
Very much so. And I'll even say this, and Chooks is my guy, and I love him. Yeah. But I think he's got more talent than Chooks. And if we don't get that out of him, then something's absolutely wrong. Like, you might have a systematic issue there, DK, more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen between now and tomorrow either. Okay, that's right. The other thing. This is going to require a hard look at a lot of things. And just to close out this thought process, Moan, there's the issue too between Arthur Smith's zone blocking that he likes to do, The fact that Jaylen Warren is the more effective back behind that type of scheme, it's not a fit for Najee Harris. There's a strong belief around here and in that world that's the reason that the Steelers didn't give Najee the fifth-year option, because they were just like, we don't know that he's going to fit with what Coach Smith wants to do. So then you have them doing one for the other, and they're nowhere near. I use this example all the time, Moan, and you know what I'm going to say, right? It's Le'Veon Bell and D'Angelo Williams. And the reason that Lev and D'Angelo could play off of each other is because they had who? They had you guys in front of them. So now you're asking these kids to do twice as much.
Yes, I do agree with you. You see this on the tape too. You see Jaylen go in, and you're like, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot, but I also am still in love with Najee. Like, and here, and that's also where it's one of those quotables that Coach Tomlin gave us. I'm highly compensated to make these type of decisions. Like, make the right decision. Like, if Jaylen is the hot hand, go. DK, there's like, what does he say? Our game is football. Our business is winning. Like, if it really is your business to go win, like, I know he's probably like a son to you, and there's a portion of, like, you know, Najee, and you want to see him do good, but you also, I feel like at this point, is getting closer and closer to your job being at risk in a sense. Like, do what helps you win football games. And if that does mean bringing in a brighter mind offensively, because, again, Arthur Smith offense can get very stagnant too. It can be predictable, it seems like. And then if you don't have the right position coaches to get the most out of guys, or a bigger conversation, making sure that George is running the right routes and not trying to make an acrobatic catch at times. Like, do those things right. Like, that's what you're highly compensated for. And you know I'm a Coach T guy. You know this, DK.
Yep.
But this is where, like, the rubber has to meet the road. And I know we've lost games before, streaks also, and we've streaked in losing too. I'm not going to act like I'm above, like, losing, DK, or the understanding that, look, you just aren't as good as the other teams. But it can't look this anemic at times. You can't have the same issues continually show up. You can't continue to just parade it out there and just think it's going to be okay. That's where I think the separator is, DK. Like, we're watching Kyle Van Noy resurrect his career in Baltimore, right?
Yes, very much so.
And not only just that, we're watching a Derrick Henry, right? Making a real big splash from free agency for a team that knew we're this close, but we need a guy.
And they got a guy.
And they went and got a guy. Yeah. And Omar's done his thing, right? Omar has done his thing, and they've, like, the Pittsburgh system is what it is. It really is. And I'll be the first one to tell you. But there is, DK, a little bit of a remix that needs to be had here and there. So we'll see what happens on Saturday, but they lose this game. We'll see what happens moving forward. Now, I'm not advocating for.
Yeah, we'll deal with that. There are bridges to cross. I mean, we'll get to the nature of the game itself here. We're also going to get to the only segment that actually matters.
Yes,
right after this, we're actually going to do that. We're going to get to the only segment that matters.
That's Hey Mom.
Hi, how are you?
We're good, Dolly.
So out of it.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Here. Hey, we're back. We're so
bad. I would turn my screen, but we got snow like crazy right now.
Do you really?
Man, let me see if I can do it without unplugging.
Look at that. Let's see what's happening over there. Oh, look at Nashville. What the heck?
We got a snow globe out here.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a freaking snow globe out here.
The snow's been it's actually on the weather map. It's been rolling across the south of us. Which is wild in and of itself.
The entire state, DK. the entire state. Not a corner missed.
That is something here. This is the only segment that matters. This is the Hey Moan segment, and this is the one where you come in with your questions.
Yeah.
For Ramon, keep them specific. Don't be like, "Hey Moan, what do you think of the Steelers?"
Yeah.
Let's come up with something that's that's good specific stuff here. I've started a few already, and there's some pretty good ones here. We're gonna get started with Sean, who says, "Hey Moan, will this be the game that Mike Tomlin finally stops living in his fears?" And I assume that means that Sean wants him to throw the football more.
And here's the other thing too. So yes, it is. It should be. He don't want 5 attached to him, 5 straight. And I don't know how many one and dones he's had in the playoffs up until late too. But this is where you got to kind of let it hang out. But the other side of this is like going into today and traveling today also to Baltimore. Like, what is Arthur Smith and his plan? Because here's the other side of it, too. Arthur is the one calling it. Like, Coach T can be on the headset and have an opinion like, hey, no, maybe, hey, or let's run in this scenario. But Arthur is also the one who's calling it. And this is where I will also say, like, stop living in your fears. Like, if you look back at Arthur Smith's, like, track record, the best years he's had was here in Nashville, Tennessee with the Titans.
Yes.
You know what they did? They had a demon that was running the football named Derrick Henry. They had one that was brewing, another one named A.J. Brown. They had Corey Davis. What I'm telling you is this. They had parts that made his offense work. What you're going to get out of him is this. Beat you up with the run, play action you, and then hit some short screens here and there. Like, it's more to me, and I see some people like, Coach T still got apologies out. Like, no, like, this is Arthur Smith's MO. I think he was hired also to reestablish a run game and be more physical. It's just that, DK, we open up this show by saying what? The offensive line doesn't seem like they're there yet. Like, his method works better when they got veteran guys. Most offenses work better, DK, when they got veteran offensive linemen. Like when Arthur was hot, he had Ben Jones, Roger Saffold, Taylor Lewan, Nate Davis when he was hot, and whoever they wanted to plug in at right tackle. I don't know if we have that group in Pittsburgh. So as much as I say, yeah, air it out, like, how much do you trust yourself on the road in Baltimore in a playoff game at night to hold the ball and go downfield? And then also you got to add the threat too. Who in the hell threatens you? George and I'll continually say that, and everybody will be like, well, Pat, yeah, but they got linebackers and a big old safety by the name of Kyle Hamilton that can cover Pat.
They sure do. Yeah, they have a lot of weapons on that side. It's a really balanced defense, and you're going to have to find balanced ways to attack them. You can't just say, hey, look at us, look how tough we are. We're just going to run right at you. This is not going to work.
I think, respectfully, I think they got to go find a Haley type. I do. A Todd Haley, who's actually had success running an offense. Not him specifically. But if they're going to stick with Arthur Smith, then Arthur Smith is going to have to make sure he press his staff, right, to go be some guys that's going to develop that offensive line, figure out what they're doing at the wide receiver position, and how they're going to balance out who takes the ball as far as the running backs go. Najee's up after this year, so if you commit to Jalen, like, okay, cool, but you still need another back after that.
Outstanding question here from the PEF says, hey, Mo, how does the locker room feel during a losing streak? And you've been not super long, whatever, but in football, if you lose 3 in a row, it's a skid and a half, man. It's a short season. I mean, from a number of games.
It does. It makes you question a lot. That's the first thing it does. You're searching for answers. You find guys overcompensating, trying to figure out what they need to do. And all it really boils down to is doing the basics really well. Like, you ask, how do you manage to stay positive and motivated? Like, a lot of folks find this hard to believe, but DK, you know it. By Thursday night, most players have reset. Like, the idea that, look, hey, I'm down in the dumps, it doesn't happen. It happens like on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But by the time Thursday, Friday, Saturday hit, like, it's a new week. What has to happen, though, is you got to force yourself. You got to force yourself into telling you, we got to create good. Like, that's the issue that the Steelers have had. They've been 3 and out, or get 1 first down and then they're punting. Or, like, that's what you've been running into. So what you tell yourself is, we have to start off good. That's the only thing that's going to fix this skid, because if you catch momentum, then you got an opportunity to really compete. And then if you don't, then you find yourself mentally during the game searching, not during the week.
Dr. Shadow's always poking at certain facets of your career. I love this. That's his thing. Hey, Moan, how was your first playoff game? And I want to throw a little bit of a parenthesis into his question, if I can.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because this group you just mentioned, especially the young O-line guys, Mason McCormick, Zach Frazier, going into their first playoff game. But they're doing it in a venue where they just played. And they just played another really big game. Is there, before we get to Dr. Shadow's thing here, I just want to ask you, do you think that'll help them? That they've been in Baltimore, that same trash locker room, the same, you know what I'm talking about there, right?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That they do on purpose.
Yeah. Well,
and do you think that that'll help them, that they were already there?
I don't think it helps. It doesn't.
I didn't expect that.
No,
okay.
No, DK, it does not. For those reasons, it's Baltimore at night and cold. Ain't nothing gonna help you but bonding together and making the least amount of mistakes. That's the only thing that's gonna help. Crowd noise, they ain't gonna shut up. Like, the Florida game ain't gonna go your way. You're gonna have to will it to a finish. So to answer that question, no. My first playoff game at home against Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
We didn't make the playoffs my rookie year in 2009. Remember, they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Team didn't make it. So we ended up having a hot year in 2010, Marquise's rookie year too. And that's when we went to the Super Bowl. I went in year 2. I said I'll be back. Never went back. That still hits me. But it was a ride. Like, to this point, real quick, like, I had veterans around me that had not made the playoffs the year before, that made sure, like, they held our feet to the fire to make us understand, like, the weight of, like, going into the, like, playoffs. Because that group that won it in 2008, where they called themselves Road Warriors, they went everywhere around the USA playing road games in the playoffs. They didn't have a home game, if I'm not mistaken. And that group understood what having home field advantage was inside of the stadium, inside of Heinz Field, DK, that, like, guys were forced to be good. Like, Willie and Max, and, like, the how good Marquise was playing at the time, and Mike Wallace was doing this thing. Like, they forced us, DK, to play good because they understood what those moments were. And it's easier too when you're fresh off a Super Bowl too. They were 2 years removed from a Super Bowl at that time.
It was a really, really good group. You came in with a really, really, really good group, which, by the way, is a feather in your cap because you had to break into it.
Yeah, and
this wasn't like, showing up in Jacksonville.
And then there was veterans on the other side. You had Hemp, you had Potts, you had Foote, you had Ryan Clark, Troy Polamalu. Like, think about the dudes that you had. And you had a little sprinkle of Lamar Woodley and, you know what I'm saying, Lawrence Timmons here and there. James Harrison was around. So let me, real quick, before we go to more Hey Moans, golly, I've missed this thing. Here's what I have to ask is, do we have a veteran problem? Because everything I said is I've related to vets. Have they missed on personalities?
We're talking about the offense here?
Yes, the offense.
Okay, you tell me. Who's the veteran? I'm not talking about the line. It's Russ.
It's Russ.
It's Russ.
And that's it.
Does the quarterback in that case work? Is that the same thing? Is the quarterback going to get in the face of an offensive lineman and say, I need more from you?
Nah.
No, not him. I see Ben doing it.
Heath did it in his own way.
Yeah, that's not here. No, that's not Pat.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I mean, Pat can do it. Pat. I'm not suggesting Pat's not a leader or anything crazy like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's not. I don't know that that's a natural thing here. There's, it's so funny. I have to point this out here because this is one of the more interesting things that I'm watching here today happen in our comments. Is that everyone is trying to take everything that we're talking about. You ever heard the whole 3 degrees of Kevin Bacon or 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon, where you can connect everything to Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
Well, what everybody wants to do here is to take every single thing that we're talking about and see how they can connect it to Mike Tomlin, because everybody's really mad at the head coach. And that's just how it goes. That's how it goes. That's whatever. I thought Tomlin had one of the worst performances of his career this past weekend against the Bengals. He messed up so many different things. I didn't even know where to start, so I wrote an entire column listing them all. Okay. But I also don't goes searching for ways to connect stuff. And people are so mad about this that they can't even hear anything else that we're saying because they just want get to Tomlin. And when I said only segment that matters, somebody said, "Oh, so the Fire Tomlin segment is coming up next." That's what we're talking about here. I mean, as long as I'm there, Moan.
Here,
losing 5 in a row to end a season, like you just said, that's tough.
It doesn't bode well. It doesn't. There's always a guy. What I will say, there's always a guy to be hired, right, DK? But in this cycle, I'm looking at it. Who's that guy?
You mean to replace him?
Yeah. If they want to, let's indulge. I'll put us on the clock. You want to for a minute? I'll put us on the clock for a minute, DK. If you don't mind enlightening us on
like
this
an egg
man.
timer or something.
Yeah, I got it right here. Right here. You'll hear the ding go off. All right, I'll start us in 3, 2, 1. Who's the guy? Because I'm looking Ben Johnson out of Detroit and his offensive-minded guy. The only reason I'm bringing that up is because, well, for him, like, can you see Pittsburgh? Just the DNA of Pittsburgh going offensive from the top down as far as the coach?
Nope.
I throw a name out there, Mike Vrabel, right? I think he wants the Patriots job. We got 34 seconds.
No, I mean you could do this, and there's nobody internal, which is the way the Steelers like to do things. They now Tomlin wasn't, in fairness here,
right?
But actually Cowher wasn't either. Cowher came from, was it Cleveland or whatever, his special teams coach or something, I don't remember. But you like to do things internally. You like to have somebody that you can trust in that role here. But I honestly feel like the whole conversation is just so hollow because he's not getting fired. I mean, so we can, you can get angry and you can throw. Okay. We're done. Oh man.
I'm not saying that this fan base probably don't feel this way, or maybe they're more right than we are. But I just can't see the Rooneys going away from a defensive-minded guy, and I don't know where one is at right now. I saw somebody mention Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. I don't know if the NFL is his style. Maybe.
Yeah, that's college, minor leagues.
College guy.
Yeah,
okay.
That's Grayson Brown has a good one for you. He says, "Hey, Moan, is playing the Ravens a blessing in disguise in this scenario? Because I actually believe the Steelers have a somewhat of a psychological edge against the Ravens. Everything went their way. Everything went Baltimore's way in the second matchup, and I don't see that repeating." They brought it up with Lamar Jackson this week, and to his credit, he was honest about it. Forget the Steelers, how he does against the Steelers. He's 2-4 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a National Football League MVP who's 2-4 in the playoffs, and including losing and not performing all that well in some big upsets, notably the time that Mike Vrabel and the Titans went in there and took him out. Is there any? I mean, you see what I'm saying? The Steelers were either going to play in Houston or in Baltimore, and I said all along, just go to Baltimore. Just at least you know what you're doing there. You beat them once already this season. You know what I'm saying?
It is, but here's the thing too. Lamar's gotten better and better, and they found out a blend to that run pass option between him and Derek. And can it be a blessing? Yes, it can be, because you know what you're getting yourself into. Like, if those guys hadn't watched that tape 5 times over and see how many times they got beat or just pushed back as far as the O-line goes, or the wide receivers who can't separate offensively, how you messed up the play calling where you should have probably went with Jalen than you did with Najee, and defensively, like Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, they're there. They're there. You got to make sure you get them, and Derek hit you 2 times in a row for 120 plus. I think one was 140, 160, whatever it was, right? So, yeah, the familiarity is there. What me and DK have been questioning is, what is the willpower like of the guys that are actually doing the job, right? There is that side of it, too. Like, you can cuss a guy out all you want to, DK, but if he's getting his you-know-what kicked, what more can he do? That's a man to a man. So the advantage is, they will kick you in your face. What are you actually willing to do with it? Like, that's what I'm questioning. Like, it was frustrating watching it, because, again, it's just like, that's a will issue right there. Like, you got to finish that. Like, defensively, you can't let him out of the box Oh, you knew he was getting the ball. You didn't want to tackle Derrick Henry? You knew he was getting it. It's third quarter. It's 22 time.
Yeah.
Like, that comes down to a player to where they're throwing their shoulders instead of actually wrapping this man up. Like, he's laughing and running. Like, what? Like, so as much as I say, like, you guys want to fire the guy, like, maybe the scouting department somewhere else got to find some guys like a Kyle Hamilton, maybe change your identity a little bit. I don't know. But the will to go knock somebody out, DK, is what this game simply is. It really ain't complicated on Saturday night.
This is what I'm talking about. Here's an all capital letters thing from Field of Steel. Get freaking Ben Johnson a call and tell him to rebuild that locker room offensively. Darn it. The best is using darn it in all caps.
I love that.
But then, you ready?
Yeah.
He puts this up. Then 2 minutes later, he just gives up on us. The two of you are always wrong. I don't know why I keep watching this BS. Bye. Well, I
already at the uncle's table?
To him, but yeah, uncle's table. So he wasn't even with us, really.
He won't, like, this is, you know how I get about this type of stuff. Like, you guys want us to come on here, cuss and fuss and just trash guys. And there is so much more detail to just doing that. All right, DK, I'll indulge. You ready? All right,
good.
All right. They suck. The team, sell it. The Rooney's don't need to have it. They're terrible.
They don't even care.
I'm burning all my gear, DK. You know what?
They don't even care.
I'm over this team. They need to fire Kevin Cobra. Oh, Kevin's not even around. Oh, my gosh. Like, who else do we need to fire?
Hire him so you can fire him again.
Hire him and fire him again. Okay. So what, did that make you feel good? Did it make you feel good?
I think the part that you appreciate is that the fan base is so passionate.
I love that.
Okay. And that you mentioned earlier about going and sitting at a Penguins game or Pirates game or whatever it is. And you feel that same, if the one team or the other is struggling or losing or not giving everything that they could. And that happened to the Penguins earlier in this NHL season where they were just so flat out there on the ice and everybody was like, come on, man, what are you doing here? This is Pittsburgh. You're not going to get away with that. The Pirates have their own special level of anger around here. And Steelers fans, what they do now is when they're mad, they focus entirely on the head coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Entirely, to the point where there's nothing else that even comes up. And again, the coach is not doing well. Okay. And if you lose 5 in a row, I think we agree on this, it's a valid subject. I mean, anywhere in the NFL, under any circumstance. We just watched Bill Belichick get chased out of Foxborough, essentially.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it can happen to anybody anywhere. But,
I mean, we saw Sean Payton get chased out. Mike McDaniels is about to get chased out of Miami if he don't get it
sure
together.
Is.
I mean, think about who was it? Who's Buffalo's coach? Didn't he have a big media issue this past summer too between him and his quarterback? There's been a lot of that. Like, every coach is feeling pressure.
Well, that's the job.
Yeah,
that's the job. And I think what gets people upset here is that they feel that because he's been in the spot so long that there isn't any sort of accountability. We don't know what the accountability is behind the scenes. We don't know what Art Rooney says to Tomlin behind the scenes. I do know that he's the only one that could say it. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's not going to be Omar. Omar calling Tomlin into the office saying, "Hey, coach, we got to talk."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My good friend of mine, man, Gerard Mayo, who got fired from the Patriots. Mm-hmm. Bad situation for him to begin with, I think. This was fascinating to me. And it holds true, DK, because guys don't speak about this publicly, but it's so true. He said in one sentence, he was like, look, I can prepare those guys all week long. When they cross those white lines, there's nothing I can do for them.
I got something.
That sounds bad, but it's true, DK. Like, if a guy's getting his butt whipped and he can't stop it, the dude is a backup for a reason that's behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
before we go today, and before we get to our closing the taking care of business segment here, I have something I wanted to play for you.
All right.
This is 1 minute long. You're going to want to hear this. This is from because you can associate with this. This is TJ Watt yesterday on the South Side when he was asked about the playoffs. Understand that this is someone who's career has been absolutely beyond brilliant as an individual, but he's never won a playoff game. Wow. Never won a single playoff game. He's only participated in 3 of them because he's been hurt for those other ones near the end of the season. So this was TJ yesterday.
I say all the time that there's a big difference between guys that come back that are Super Bowl champions and guys that aren't. And that's not a slight at the guys that aren't. I'm one of those guys right now. But there's definitely an aura and a sense to a guy that has won a Super Bowl. And there's a togetherness, a close-knit group of guys that when they come back for those alumni weekends, they hang out and they bond and they talk about their successes on and off the field and that Super Bowl run. And we want that. Every guy in here wants that. Don't confuse any of this lack of success for lack of effort. Everybody's trying. We're turning over every stone that we possibly can to be great. We want to be great. We just need to do it together. And that's not saying that we haven't, but we just need to do everything collectively and play complementary football when the time matters most. And there's definitely a sense of urgency because it's the playoffs in the National Football League. This is what everybody plays the game for.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why I played it for you.
He ain't wrong. That's a mic drop.
That's hitting you. I can tell.
It did because he's right. Them dudes that come back from that 08 team, that 5 team.
It's different.
It's so different. Their conversations, the way they're looked at, even the ones that didn't even play a lot, they got one. They were part of the mission. And TJ is, God.
When you see
that hits.
It can be something as simple as, for example, Willie Parker going into the Hall of Honor, and he was just, enshrined recently, and Willie gets introduced to the crowd. Crowd goes berserk, and it might be that they can only remember one run that he ever made, or one block, by the way, that Helen Faneca ever made. But it was that run. It was 75 yards. And you look at the 1974 team that came back this year, and there's Mean Joe Green, and like you said, there's some dude who was like the 52nd guy on the roster.
I know. And
they introduce him, and you've never heard the name before in your life, right? And everyone's like, yeah, dude. That's what TJ wants. That's what Cam wants. That's what these guys want. That's what you guys were playing for. Yeah. That's the reason that you guys took these losses so hard, especially toward the end. Your whole group there. And when people say that game doesn't matter, they're just going to Baltimore, whatever, they stink, whatever else here. Don't forget that this guy is also part of that.
Yeah.
That him and Cam and others who have been around for a while, this means a lot to them.
It does, man. You hear it in TJ's voice, though.
Oh, yeah.
He's basically saying, like, we're in it. It's just, it ain't there, but we want it. And you mentioned, like, losing. Like, losing has put you in a spot to where you question how to win. Like, and that's why I always tell people, when you got to compare, like, respectfully, I've seen bad, DK. Hey, look at, I've seen bad this year. You're not that, okay? And you much rather be where TJ's talking about, like, we got an opportunity, than not having any. Like, what I do see, like, guys may be getting beat, DK, right? They can't stop a nosebleed at times, but the effort is there. Like, the want, the will, the drive, the history of it, and the expectations too. Like, what we're dealing with more than anything with this fire Coach Tomlin stuff or this team sucks stuff, is the expectation, DK, is that high. And you know what Mr. Rooney says whenever he walks into the room? It's only one goal, and you know what it is, DK. It's to win a Super Bowl. Like, he ain't a man of many words, and at the beginning of the season when the 53-man roster is made up, when I speak about, like, high expectation, like, those dudes feel it because it starts with Mr. Rooney on opening week, walking into the room, probably speaking about a minute, and he says, man, every year our goal is to win the Super Bowl. And I get everybody's frustration. This sucks. It does. But those dudes, you heard, DK, you can put that as our open moving forward. Like, that TJ Watt, like, statement right there, that's it. That's how we felt in the end. Like, that's how we felt in the end.
Yeah, I know. I had a feeling that would do that. That was
It
something
did.
that we had planned here to kind of ambush you.
Because here's the thing. Because TJ said that, and it's so friggin' true. Because I'm just as important as the other guys are. Those other guys just got rings, and TJ is too. Heck, he's a walk and go jacket at this point. But TJ also knows that, like, to solidify like his part and still a history, it's even better if he got a Super Bowl in that city. He can go chase one, because I'm sure somebody will want to, hey, TJ, come over here with us and chase one somewhere. But he know what it means to get one there. Like, he's right there. They don't have AFC champions, you know what I'm saying, reunion weekends in Pittsburgh.
It's that, and from being around this team, I can tell you that the 10-3 didn't just raise expectations; it raised hopes internally. Okay, and I shouldn't be saying it in the past tense. They haven't been eliminated. There's a football game tomorrow.
Yeah,
but for them to, hit the wall like this. Hey, look, like I keep telling people around here, let's talk about this again late Saturday night.
Right.
If your team wins and your team performs in a spirit, in a manner that's similar to what got them to 10-3, this is 180-degree flipped.
Yeah.
I really, really believe that. When we come back, we're going to
real quick, two quick things real quick. This right here, trash statement. Feel bad for TJ. Tomlin wasted his prime. No, he didn't. Coach Tomlin helped develop TJ, okay? He did. He coached him. TJ is a part of a team that got him Defensive Player of the Year. You can't say that. You hope you lose by 35. You're probably not really a fan like that anyway, so stop that. That's number one. And Nicole, this ain't even at you, but it's winning takes care of greatness. That's a lie, too. Because if you're great, you're great. You know why? Joe Thomas was a first ballot Hall of Famer. He never had a winning season in Cleveland. So stop. Y'all be real about this, too. I know we get emotional about football and the Steelers. Don't act like that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Joe Thomas never had a winning season in Cleveland. I don't know that he had a win in Cleveland. But at the same time, everybody knew. Everybody knew. Well, maybe you say the same thing about Joe Hayden when he was in Cleveland.
Seriously.
We can do this stuff all day. There's, TJ hit it better than we will. Let's just put it that way. All right. When we come back, we're going to take care of some business here on the Ramon Foster Show. All right. First things first, and in taking care of everything here, is that we have a prediction to give. Well, you do, Ramon.
Mm-hmm. 3 times. Split games in a regular season. 10-point spread is a lot. 6 is it?
I mean, I understand trends are trends.
Yeah.
But 10 points is the kind of thing that you put up whenever your quarterback's injured.
Yeah.
I
do think they have to let it hang out. DK, I'm picking the guys. I got Steelers 18, Baltimore 17. Boz wins it.
The first game was 18-16, so you're pretty close, and Boz won that one too.
Boz wins it. He made his first team All-Pro. Shout out to Boz, by the way.
Best kicker in football.
It took him a while, but he got there.
He got there. He got there.
He did.
Well, we're going to thank some people here for their contributions over the course of the program. Bunch of them actually here. Get to all the various gifts that were given out here. Yeah, the barber came in with 5, and then Barber's always has regrets, and then he comes in with another 5. It's just how he is. It's his personality. Mm-hmm. Thomas comes in with 5. Carol comes in always with 10 here. Carrie with the 1 that's another staple of the program.
Yes.
Stephen with 20, Ryan Smith with 20. If you guys don't know what these are, gift memberships, just make sure that you have accept gifts turned on. You can become a member and get away from that uncle's table. You don't need anybody to explain what uncle's table do you? Just listen to it. It's a great line, man. Yeah, it's just a great line. That's all that is. Yeah. And it's still playoff week, Bone, and some people are going to be traveling.
Be safe.
back down I-70 through Breezewood and everything. And this is what awaits at the other end right here. This, you know, what's great is my wife mentioned the other day, she said, is this really their helmet? And I said, yeah, is this really their logo? She goes, wow, it's ugly. And, you know, it really hadn't occurred to me. That's just a bad logo. It's like a fourth grader came up with this.
I hate it. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Looking.
Yeah, outdated looking, she says here. Now, they have a different one. Have you seen it? Where it looks the vertical thing? It looks like it's descending to
eagle.
attack you. Yeah. But this is still the base helmet. It's like, what?
They're traditionalists like us. They probably say the same thing about our helmets too.
Well, they can't say anything about this side.
Hey, yeah, well, they might call us cheap or broke. That's how
Couldn't afford the stickers in 1933, pal.
Yeah, man. Goodness.
And it is Friday, by the way.
It is
Friday.
man.
We haven't had a Friday show in a while.
Hey, y'all order you some wings, man. Sit at home if you're in the South and it's snowed in, okay? Have you a nice little drink or something. Turn that TV on and watch the game, man. Look, I feel y'all where you coming from. Heck, I want us to win too. But it's just how it goes sometimes, all right? They need this one. I need this one because I'm tired of hearing from these Ravens fans. You hear me? I got my friggin' Photoshop machine ready to go. You hear me? That's what I'm telling you, if you know what I mean.
Vicious with the
I'm
Photoshop.
so it's because I was too nice the last time. They beat us, and they've been chomping at the bit the entire time. But y'all know how it goes, man. Brand new year. Happy New Year, man. I turned 39 on Tuesday, by the way, DK.
Happy birthday. You got a few birthday wishes here. Yep.
But y'all know how it goes, man. Call somebody you ain't talked to in a while. Have a random conversation with somebody. Hug somebody. Apologize to somebody. Be good to one another, man. That's all I got for you. But at all costs, make it back to us on Monday. And yes, Monday.
All right, guys. We'll see you on Monday.
Peace.